Welcome. You're listening to episode 30 of Paws and Play with Dr. J, the Preventive Vet podcast. If you're enjoying the show, it would mean a lot to us if you gave us a rating review on iTunes or your preferred streaming platform. On today's show, we're back for part 2 of our discussion about cat spraying with feline trainer and behavior consultant Dr. Marci Koski. Today's show focuses more specifically on picking up the clues your cat is giving you about why they're spraying, tips to get it to stop, and of course, how to clean the mess and smells they've left behind. And now, let's start the show. Welcome back to another episode of Paws and Play with Dr. J. I'm your co-host, Mia, and I've got Dr. J here with me. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, Mia. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing wonderfully, and we've got our very special friend, certified feline behavior and training expert, Marci Koski, here with us. Yay. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Wonderful. Yay. We love having you. For those of you who missed our last litter box conversation, that was a party and a half. So go back and listen to that. And I will link to that in this episode's blog post. But there is so much to explore when it comes to cats and litter boxes and litter and spraying and peeing outside and pooping outside. So we're here to give it some more of the attention that it deserves. and today, I think we're going to be exploring cat spraying a little bit more in depth, and specifically things that you can do, because this is a gigantic problem and we discussed it again on the last podcast. Let's do our part to tackle this problem and try to make it so that it occurs less frequently. So, Dr. J, Marci, spraying. Say it, don't spray it. What?
I like it.
That's not our t-shirt.
We've got it'll be that saying with a cat.
The cat on it.
Yeah. But so let's say that you've got a cat that you've noticed has been spraying. It's obviously not a wanted behavior. Thankfully, it sounds like there are a bunch of different ways that you can actually go about changing it, or like figuring out why it's happening in the first place. So, Marci, where should we start?
Okay. Well, I think, in the last podcast, we talked about how stress and territorial insecurity can be a root cause for both house soiling in terms of emptying the bladder, and also spraying. And I think with spraying, the message is a little bit more overt. It's less subtle than simply going outside of the litter box. And
it's like, I'm here.
The message yeah, exactly. The message from spraying is like, exactly, I'm here. This area that we're spraying, this is mine. This is mine. And I need to reinforce that with my scent. So, when I talk with people about their cats who are spraying, obviously humans don't really want that happening in their home. But the cats are sending a definite message, and that could be, hey, I'm insecure about some of the scents that are being brought into the home that are foreign and don't smell like me, so I need to make them smell like me. Or, hey, there's like other cats out there, and they might be trying to get in my biz, and I need to stop that with my scent. So, to me, it is mostly about territorial insecurity when it comes down to spraying. So I don't know if you guys have read Jackson Galaxy's Total Cat Mojo, but what he says, and it makes a lot of sense to me, there are 3 different types of cats, and one of them is the Napoleon cat. And the Napoleon cat is the type of cat who has to really show everybody what's his. And cats who spray, to me, are more on the Napoleon cat's end of the spectrum.
It's so funny. I don't know why, but when you're talking about cats like Napoleon, my brain just went to the Napoleon representation in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That'd be awesome.
Just like eating that big sundae.
Yes, that's exactly the scene that popped into my head. And I just love thinking about a little Napoleon cat like bossing people around. And
yeah, exactly.
That's so funny. So, and also obviously, Dr. J, I'll let you weigh in on this.
Talk about Bill and Ted's.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that I would let you do what you do best and crush us with some health things that could be going on.
No, I'll restrain. I'll point people to the previous episode.
Okay, that works.
Look at that.
So, but just in case you don't have time to listen to that episode before this one, if your cat's spraying, and Marci, I think would agree with me, the first step is to get them
go to your vet.
Yeah, make sure that it's
make sure there's not an underlying medical issue that's causing it. Because as Marci said very correctly in the previous episode, you're never going to fix a behavioral problem if there's an underlying medical issue. So you could do all the training, you could do all the environmental stuff that you want. If there's an underlying medical problem, whether it be pain or diabetes or any number of things, you're going to be behind the eight ball and fighting a losing battle until you get that sorted.
Now, Dr. J, I actually have a question for you, and I want to get your opinion on this. A lot of cats who are leaving urine behind in one way or another to self-soothe, they have some anxiety issues. And many times, I'm not a veterinarian, so I cannot recommend specific medications, but there are many medications out there that can help cats address anxiety.
With anxiety, yeah. Totally.
And so when you work with a client, do you try to do behavioral stuff or do you go for the medications or, what do you do?
It really depends. Well, the first thing I would say is that they're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
And then the second thing I would say is that frequently, like with dogs, if you have a pet that's dealing with an anxiety or that's dealing with something where behavioral modification medications, anxiolytics, things that can help with anxiety will help, using them earlier is better. They shouldn't be a last line resort because frequently they can sort of get a pet below threshold enough to be able to learn the behavioral modification stuff you want to do. And so they really shouldn't be shied away from. Now, obviously every pet is different. And so a veterinarian or a board certified veterinary behaviorist is going to be required to try and figure out the best medication or combination of medications for a particular pet, for a particular patient, and for a particular situation. So I just love the idea of more people realizing that there are medications and supplements that can help cats and dogs manage their anxiety better. And I would caution people not to use their own anti-anxiety medications in their pets. Sometimes we do use ones that are licensed for people in cats and dogs, but you never want to do that without first consulting with your veterinarian. But yeah, behavioral modification medications and supplements can play a huge role. And it's not about, gorking a, dog or cat out so they can't interact and enjoy the rest of their life. And many of these cats and dogs can sometimes get weaned off of these medications or get weaned onto sort of lower dosages. So having that conversation, having it early, is great.
I agree. And when I work with my own clients, I like to collect a fairly detailed history so that I can see, is this a recurring problem? Has this been happening over a long period of time? How frequently is it occurring? If it's here and there, we dive right into the behavioral modification stuff. Yeah. If it's been a long history with, not very much change or improvement, or, it happens all the time, then I've found that my clients have much better results I like working with a team, with a veterinarian.
Yeah.
So that the veterinarian can, be involved with the medication aspect. Yeah. And then, like you said, it brings cats below threshold so that the behavioral modifications are more effective. Right. Because if you have a cat that's too stressed out, no matter what you do with a behavioral modification, they're just going to be like, I'm not having it.
Yeah. No, you got to kind of bring them down off the ledge first to have any hope.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would add to that, Marci, and I love the fact that you're getting a history. I mean, that I am so about the history. Like, I mean, that should constitute a huge portion of any exam, of any consultation, because so much information can be gleaned from a good, thorough, open-ended history. But the other thing is the trend. I mean, because let's face it, most people don't bring their cat or dog to the veterinarian, to a behaviorist, to a trainer or anything until what they're dealing with becomes a problem. Unfortunately, we're a very reactive species. We are. And obviously we're trying to change that. But so there's frequently problems have been going on for a while, or what people are noticing is that some that's been going on every now and again is now trending towards happening more frequently. And so if we're seeing that trend, if we can intervene even there sometimes earlier, that could be very important. So kind of like, the opposite end of the spectrum when we're talking about sort of, older pets and people are worried about quality of life, having a calendar, just like a paper, you can print it off from, Apple calendars or Google calendars or, whatever, anything, just sort of somewhere convenient. If your cat, since we're talking about cats, if your cat is exhibiting a particular behavior, just at the end of every day, put a little check mark or a frowning face or whatever it might be in that day to realize like that they did it on this day. Because then, a couple months later, you could look back and go, oh, okay, like for the first couple of weeks, it was happening like one day a week. And now all of a sudden we're seeing it 4, 5, 6 days a week. Yeah. That's now very objective data. And you could go, okay, this is getting to be more of a problem. I either need to, reach out to my veterinarian first, potentially get involved with a behaviorist or a trainer. And then you could also use that to track response to interventions, whether that be behavioral modification or medications or environmental, changes. Because if you were starting at 1 day a week and now all of a sudden you're 5, 6, 7 days a week, and then you start doing something to try and improve it, and then you realize that you're back down to 2, 3 days a week, well, good news. What you're doing is working. Continue that. And then you may need to layer something else on top of that. So
exactly.
I love that you're talking about history. Now there's another one we could do hours on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I ask my clients to keep a journal too. Just when something happens, when did it happen? Where did it happen? What occurred just before it?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's those precursors frequently that gold lay there. That is, that's awesome. If you get people thinking about that and then documenting it so that they can then see again, objectively, oh yeah, it's another cat coming around, or it's like every time I pack for a work trip or whatever it might be, you start to sense those patterns. And then all of a sudden your path to remedying the problem becomes much clearer.
Yeah.
Great tips. And so I love that we're talking about all these data points, and I'm also now picturing you, Marci, in a Carmen Sandiego type of like sleuthing and stuff like that. And so I think maybe it'd be important to talk about the different types of data points to collect as you're observing, because it's, obviously going to be, one of the obvious things might be, okay, where is this happening? If it's in a specific location, or maybe it's not in a specific location, if there's a time of day, or, there's a lot of different things to be. I'm just trying to get us to, I guess, because I'm thinking about myself, like stepping outside of myself to think about the different questions that might be pertinent, because I don't know. I don't know if our audience needs as much help as I do, but sometimes you need to know what questions to ask if you don't, if you're not used to it and you don't really know what, it could be overwhelming.
Yeah. If you're having a cat, it's important to know what questions to ask and what to look out for. So, but it also depends on the issue that you're dealing with. So, for example, if you have a multi-cat household and your cats aren't getting along, they're getting into fights, it's really important to know, and I know this is a little bit off topic, but where are the fights happening? What time of day are they happening? So that, hey, maybe the fights are happening near this staircase where it's like a pinch point where cats pass each other at different times, going down to all the litter boxes. maybe you need to put some vertical space so that the cats can get around each other better. Or maybe you need to redistribute your litter boxes to different parts of the home. Or, hey, maybe the fights are happening at a specific time of day because, that's when they get fed, or maybe that's when they start using the litter boxes after being fed. So time of day is really important. Location is really important. And that's the same case for a cat who's spraying as well. And you might look at your own family's rhythm. So does the cat spray right before or right after a particular person is coming home or leaving? Where's the spraying occurring? Like I said in the last episode, I've had several clients where they spray right next to the closet door, and you open up the closet door and there's all these shoes that have been inside and outside and all different places, walking different places, bringing scent in. So yeah, I mean, like the Carmen San Diego thing is kind of dead on. I don't carry a large magnifying glass around, but I do carry.
You have an a cappella group following you.
Oh no, I have a black light and yellow glasses.
Oh my God,
that's my getup. Yeah.
I mean, I let me tell you, when Mazel had a urinary obstruction, and this is only slightly off topic, we got a black light, to end.
A blessing and a curse.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Like for Halloween, I wouldn't need to set up like my own haunted house or scary house. All I would have to do to terrify myself is turn off the lights and put on the black light. It's not something that I was anticipating.
I think a lot of people are shocked at how much stuff they find that they didn't know about.
Well, I'm like, who is this? Who did this?
Yeah. Do we live in a murder house? What happened here?
Crime scene.
I know. I think our realtor didn't disclose something she should have.
Something like that. Yeah. But really, like actually having those black lights, if your cat is spraying or going outside of the litter box, like that's a really important tool to have. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And the yellow glasses, not only do they look super cool, but they help you see those fluorescent spots a little bit better. Just because sometimes, and I think it has to do with the concentration of the cat urine. Dr. J, correct me if I'm wrong. But with cats who have a more dilute urine, sometimes it's harder to fluorescing doesn't. Yeah,
because it's those proteins that are in there. And so if they're much more dilute, and sometimes if they've been sat there for a while, they can be really difficult. So anything that you could do to increase the probability that you'll see that fluorescence. Yeah. So, dark room, and certain black lights are better than others in terms of the wavelength at which the black light they're emitting. I like your idea of those glasses as well. And some black lights you actually have to like turn on and let them kind of warm up, if you will.
In terms of figuring out, this was a question from last time, like what your cat is doing. Is it spraying or, just peeing? Black lights are really handy because if your cat is
actually going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah. You see the splash mark on the wall and then dribbles down. Yeah. Whereas usually if the cat is peeing up against the wall, you'll see more of a round puddle. So yeah, it can help you figure out what's going on.
Oh boy, be the detective that you never wanted to be. So let's put away our black lights for a second and I guess take them back out. If you've got a cat that's spraying, since this is such a huge problem, like what are some ways that we can change it, or let's turn this train around?
Yeah, turn that frown upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there are multiple approaches, and one thing I like to do first, since a lot of spraying has to do with the presence of outdoor cats, I try to work with cat guardians to reduce the exposure that indoor cats have to outdoor cats. So a lot of times that can be, hey, maybe, in the spring and fall when intact male cats are out roaming around more, maybe we keep the windows shut so that they can't smell them quite as easily, because those are the guys that are spraying around outside and, making their presence known a little bit more. So keeping the windows shut. And actually, that window film is kind of like opaque, frosted looking. It's not the like scary ghetto house, like mirrored window film. It's
just more frosted. I think we actually have that on at least one.
I think for the barking, I think we have that for the barking, helping the dog that's barking.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you don't even have to cover up your entire window or sliding glass door with it. You really only have to cover the bottom part where your cat is tall enough to see outside. And so that will obscure the ground where outdoor cats are. And you can even draw the cats. Well, it depends if you want to turn your yard into a bird slaughterhouse, which I don't think you do.
No, and we don't want to encourage it either.
Right. Well, you can put tall hanging squirrel or bird feeders up so that your cat's attention is drawn up as opposed to down on the ground.
I love that idea.
Yeah. But you just want to make sure that the other cats outside are not going to target that feeder. And one way to do that is to have motion activated water sprayers outside the house. And I found that using those, you don't even really have to have them set up all the time. It really just takes a few times for a cat to get hit to know, maybe I'm not going to go in that yard. That wasn't too fun.
Not worth it. Well, I highly recommend getting hummingbird feeders, just because they're beautiful to watch anyway. And Mazel and Marshall and I all like to stare out the window at the hummingbirds.
It's great cat TV. Great cat TV.
And people TV. Come on.
Yeah.
Live a little, everybody. Enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Feed a bird.
That frosted opaque window covering stuff works great. And then the other thing is a lot of cats, especially when outdoor cats are roaming, and they're crepuscular animals. A lot of people think that cats are nocturnal. Not true. They're crepuscular, which means that they're more active at dawn and dusk. Those might be times when you want to try to distract, divert, and redirect your indoor cat to a different activity. So set out a food puzzle for them during those times so they'll be distracted from looking out the windows. Or even have a play session using a wand toy, because this gives them stress relief and it also distracts them. It's letting them be their predatory selves. It does a lot of really good things. So again, when you're taking notes of when this is happening, if it's during dawn and dusk, use that knowledge strategically to provide distraction activities for the cats. Another thing you can do is think about biologically, what are incompatible activities to cats urinating or marking their territory? And the first thing that comes to my mind is eating. Now, I know I don't want to eat my meals sitting right next to the toilet. I'm
happy you said that.
That's good to know.
Sounds like we can all
come over to my house. Right. You come over to my house, you don't have to eat next to the toilet. So, and this works for cats who are eliminating outside of their litter box as well. And not, just spraying, but you can set up things where in areas that are sprayed, maybe you put, obviously you want to clean everything really, really well so that there's no urine smell there anymore. And if we have time, I'd love to talk with you about that. But you can set out food, or you can set out like a shallow storage container and put a food puzzle in it that rolls around. And if you put it in the storage container that the cat can play in just by reaching their paws in, then you don't have the food puzzle going all over the place. It stays in the area where you want it. So food is a really good way to change the perceived use of an area. You can also put bedding there because cats don't want to sleep where they've peed. So think about those incompatible uses. Okay. That works really well. Yeah. And then finally, you can also change, or you can provide your cats with other ways to leave their scent behind. I mean, yeah, urine is kind of a slap you in the face scent reminder, but there are also other ways to leave scent. So scratching posts, I don't know if you know this, but cat feet have scent glands in them. And when they scratch, they leave both a visual and a scent mark behind. So scratching posts are great. You can throw down a handful of catnip in the area that's been soiled to let your cat roll around in it and leave body odor there that way. There are little carpet or corner groomers. They're these like plastic things that fit on the corner of your wall, and they have like this comb on them. Put that about a foot up off the ground, and you can sprinkle it with a little bit of catnip to get cats started. But your cat will go up to that and rub their cheeks on it, and sometimes the rest of their body. But their cheeks have those friendly facial pheromones in them, and then also it leaves behind their personal scent. So that's another way they can leave scent behind in an area that's been soiled with urine. There are a lot of different ways. Dr. J, do you have any other suggestions?
No, I mean, I think you touched on a lot of them with like the, scratching post, taking advantage of the other pheromones, the other ways that cats can leave their scent. And like you said, just like with the, feel away, I mean, the primary feel away is the facial pheromone. And then of course they've got their feel a scratch, which is taking advantage of those pheromones in their feet and their paw pads. So giving them other ways to communicate with you, because again, marking, spraying is all about communication. So I guess you could liken it to someone who's, trilingual or multilingual, having multiple different ways to express their message, right. Gives them other options if there's one in particular that you don't like. So I think that's great.
Yeah, one thing I will say is feel away, which I think is great. It works great for many, many cats. The different formulas, and also it comes in a diffuser form that you plug in, and then also the spray. By the time clients get to me, they've usually tried feel away and it doesn't really have an effect. Yeah. And I think feel away is one of those things that can help take the edge off of things. But I've actually had clients whose cats will spray the feel away diffuser, which is like the opposite of what it's there for.
No, this is me. This is my territory.
No, that's perfect, because it's kind of like training go to mat, right? So if you can train them to spray on the feel away diffuser and then you just take away the feel away diffuser, problem solved. Not really, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Like a weird litter box on the side of the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have very mixed feelings about feel away diffusers. I'm not sure how well they work, but I have told, people get the feel away spray, and you can spray where your cat has sprayed with feel away, and that will sometimes work. One thing that I think is a little bit maybe more effective than that even is to take a clean sock or, one of those stretchy gloves, those soft stretchy gloves, and put it on your hand and then rub your cat's cheek and forehead, the cheeks especially. And then on that sock or glove or mitten, you'll have not only that pheromone, but your cat's individual scent as well. And so then you can take your sock and rub that exactly where your cat has sprayed. So, it's again, how do you let your cat deposit their scent in an area where clearly they're saying, I need my scent to be here?
Yeah, you can help. And with that's a great method, because you can help them put it there. You're not now counting on them to go over and rub their face up against it or, scratch in that area. You're going to basically do it for them, which is fantastic.
Right. And most cats enjoy being, petted on the face with the hand. So
my little Mozzie loves to put his little cheeks all over me. I love it.
He's marking you. He's like, you're mine.
Mm-hmm. I am. I mean, this is cute and all, but now my brain is just screaming for you to talk about how to clean this stuff, because I'm like, okay, it must smell. I mean, that's part of the reason that it's such a problem. And I guess one of my questions would be, because we're talking about, putting stuff over where they've marked. But I guess my question should be, we want to clean that first to the best of our abilities, right? Or no?
Absolutely. And the problem is, a lot of people have they say, oh gosh, my carpet or my couch is dirty. I'm going to use this carpet cleaner or detergent or soap on it to try to get it out. Unfortunately, that stuff does not dissolve or eat away the urine crystals. Like I've said before, cat urine is like one of the worst substances on the planet. It's like so hard to get out of anything. And in fact, if you leave, the only thing that can really dissolve them are enzyme-based cleaners. And unfortunately, if you've previously cleaned a soft surface with detergents and soaps, that residual detergent and soap will stay in the fibers. And then when you add water and those enzymes, they can kill the beneficial enzymes. So it'll make your enzyme cleaner less effective. So be very careful. If you have previously cleaned something with soap or detergent, you want to either use a neutralizer or run over that area with hot water a few times so that you get out all that residual soap. So the neutralizer that I just mentioned, there's only one that I'm really aware of. So my preferred brand of cleaner for cat urine is called Anti-Icky Poo. And fun name, I know. At one point, they claimed to be 30 times stronger than Nature's Miracle, but new cleaners are coming out all the time, new enzyme cleaners. Nature's Miracle has about 50,000 cat urine formulas, and I have no idea what the difference is between any of them.
I like Nature's Miracle, but I'm going to have to try.
Yeah.
Is it Icky Poo away?
Well,
yeah, Anti-Icky Poo. And
Anti-Icky Poo.
My clients are generally very happy with it. I will say that I have not run into any enzyme cleaner that will do the job 100% the first time. It's always a matter of reapplying, and it works as it dries. So if you have to exclude your cat from a room while that is drying, then do so. Or you can put like a laundry basket with holes in it over the spot. So
that's a good idea.
Access it. So you want to make sure that it dries and then smell it, and you may need to reapply and reapply and reapply. The pre-treatment is from the same company that makes Anti-Icky Poo, and it's called Mr. Max Pee Bath. I don't know why the funny names, but yeah.
Because why not, right?
And I'm not a spokesperson for them. This is what I've found in my experience.
And the other one, Marci, that I've had good luck with too is it's made by Unique. I think it's called Unique, and their enzyme plus, like in essence, probiotic. Like they're bacterial plus enzymatic. So you kind of have two ways around it, because I mean, everybody hears bacteria and they're like, oh, that can't be good. But in reality, there's lots of really good bacteria, and bacteria digest things, and so digesting those proteins and whatnot can really help.
Right. Right.
But that is key, is doing the first cleaning, like doing it right, and not reaching right for a steam cleaner, because that can actually set, an odor and a stain as well. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many years ago, before I was doing the cat behavior thing, all of my cat's litter boxes were in the basement. It was a finished basement. It was, really nice. We spent a lot of time down there, and they were all against this wall. We had a minor flooding problem. To make a long story short, we had the cats peeing kind of all along the entire wall in our basement. And we tried steam cleaner, we tried carpet cleaning, we tried enzymes, everything. By by the time it was like all said and done, we basically had to go nuclear on our basement, and we took out the carpet. The padding had been ruined, and even the drywall up the sides.
Not fun.
We had to remove like the bottom half of the drywall, and we put wainscoting up and a really nice new floor. It was great. Cats didn't pee on that since.
Well, if anybody listening out there is looking for an excuse to redo your basement, you might want to just bring your cats down there, have a little flooding problem, and there you go.
I didn't mean to end on a bad note, but sometimes you have to do that. But hopefully using these tips, you can actually remedy the situation or even prevent it before it gets that far.
There you go. Awesome. So Marci, it is always wonderful to talk to you. Where can our audience find you if they would like to get in touch?
Oh, thanks, Mia. I can be found online just about everywhere. But you can go to my website. It's www.felinebehaviorsolutions.com. That's felinebehaviorsolutions.com. But I'm also on Facebook. I have both a page and a private group. So if you're having cat behavior issues and you're on Facebook, search for my group, Feline Behavior Solutions, and be sure to answer the 3 questions or else I won't approve you to get into the group. But I'm also on Instagram and everything else. But, Instagram and Facebook are probably the ones that I'm most active in. And if you need to message me about what's going on in your home with your cat, send me an email. You can do that through my website.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to put all your links in the blog post for this episode. But I also want to just let everybody know you've got a great blog. And you also are an awesome contributor, answering lots of great questions, over at another blog I found you on. You didn't even have to tell me. I found you. I think it's called The Conscious Cat. Is that right? Yes.
It's Ingrid King's, The Conscious Cat column. And she has a whole website. She's a behavior expert, and I do a monthly column. It's Ask the Cat Behaviorist with Dr. Marci Koski. And so you can write a question there, and then I will answer your question in the next month's column. That's been a lot of fun.
It's great.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be in Portland at the Popcats cat convention. I'm going to be giving a talk there Saturday, and then I'm going to be on a panel on Sunday, and that's coming up in September. You can go to popcats.com and look for the Portland event, and that's going to be August 28th and 29th.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And again, I will be linking to all of Marci's links in the blog post for this episode. And definitely make sure that you check out her website and get in touch if you need any of her help. Thanks again. Thanks for listening. If you've got a question for Dr. J that you want him to answer on an upcoming show, head over to preventivevet.com/pause and play and fill out our form. You'll also find our podcast archive, as well as links to everything that we discuss on the shows. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter, which includes tips, alerts, and we even made sure to include some cuteness. It's a treat delivered to your inbox every other week. You can subscribe to Paws and Play with Dr. J on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. We'll talk to you again soon.